Big doors swing on small hinges. In today's video, we're going to talk about why the little things matter in your business. There's an episode of The West Wing where there's a campaign advisor named Bruno Gianelli, and the president tore him a new one because Bruno had been polling about certain things that the president thought were irrelevant and shouldn't have been considered at all. And Bruno says, "Sometimes I have a difficulty speaking to people who don't race sailboats."
Sometimes I have difficulty talking to people who don't race sailboats. What?
And understandably, the president has no idea what he's talking about. He says, "What?" So Bruno tells a story about when he was a teenager, he was on the crew of this racing sailboat.
When I was a teenager, I crewed Larchmont to Nassau on a 58-foot sloop called Cantice.
And one day when they're sailing, he noticed there's this little piece of kelp stuck to the hull.
So I take a boat hook on a pole and I stick it in the water and I try to get the kelp off when 7 guys start screaming at me, right? Because now the pole is causing more drag than the kelp was. See, what you gotta do is you gotta drop it in and let the water lift it out in a windmill motion. Drop it in and let the water take it by the kelp and lift it out. In and out, until you got it.
He says, the voters aren't choosing a plumber, they're choosing a president.
And if you don't think that your family should matter, my suggestion to you is to get out of professional politics.
But the coolest part, he said, but if you think I'm going to miss an opportunity to pick up half a knot of boat speed, you're absolutely out of your mind.
But if you think that I am going to miss even one opportunity to pick up half a knot of boat speed, you're absolutely out of your mind. When it cost us nothing, when we give up nothing, you're out of your mind.
And that's a lot of the philosophy that I'll have when I'm talking to clients, is figuring out where their figurative kelp might be in the businesses. Sometimes it's little things, sometimes it's big things, but identifying the things that are causing some kind of a drag and not getting the optimum efficiency because of it. But what's interesting though, like anything, is sometimes people are really ready to adapt, ready to change. Then other times people just don't have the interest and they like the way the things are going already. And those are the times I'll feel like Bruno, to where most of the suggestions we're talking about, sometimes it's a drastic change that will cost a lot of money, cost a lot of time, a lot of loss of efficiency in the immediate term while you're getting the systems in place. And sometimes it's for the little tweaks where people feel like since it's such a small amount of expense that it's not worth doing. So for those of us who do any type of consulting, I think we can all relate to Bruno and the frustration he'll have, because sometimes you'll have clients who are really gung-ho and ready to go with whatever the plans are, and other times you just have resistance, even if it's not something that costs them anything. What needs to be changed it's a huge variety of things. It can be changing up their marketing plan, it can be reducing expenses, it can be changing their tax structure, taking on debt, or if they've got too much debt already, sometimes paying it off to a more sustainable level. Some of these are tasks that are really easy, some of them are a lot more involved and difficult. But the clients that we have typically who are succeeding are the ones who are ready to change the big things and the small things. The big things people don't want to do because it's disruptive, and sometimes the small things people don't want to do just because it's so small. Then what difference does that make? What difference does that tiny piece of kelp on the hull do when it's not really slowing us down? And usually when we give this example, they start to understand, they become more open. When it costs us nothing, when we lose nothing, if we're not willing to change it, then we're absolutely out of our minds. So that's something we tell people to keep in mind when they're meeting with us, meeting with any kind of consultant. Big changes are or small. If it's something that's going to benefit your business, we should be ready to jump on that and move on it immediately. Thanks guys, really hope you enjoyed that video. And if that resonated with you, if you've ever been through something similar, we'd love to hear your experiences and what you thought about it.